Apparently I've become kind of a popular resource when it comes to ND filters. So when Kase reached out to me and asked if I wanted to try out these filters right here, I figured why not? Not only am I going to talk about these filters, but I'm going to talk about my thoughts when I compare them to these two ND filters that I've been using the most. There's one thing that the Kase filters do that I love and I've never seen before. My name's Dustin, your video tour guide, and please keep your arms and legs inside your chairs at all times. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. So just as a disclosure, Kase did send me these filters in exchange for a review. I do get to keep them, but it literally says in the email they sent me to give my honest review and feedback on them. So my first impression when I opened them was the case that they come in. Personally, this case I don't like it. It's big, it's bulky, and it's kind of hard to close. Like it didn't latch. I don't know if you can see that, but it didn't latch in the correct position. Now it's latched in the correct position. And when you put all of the filters in here, it's kind of hard to close it as well. Yeah, I don't love the case. The filters themselves though, I do like, mostly because they are extremely thin. They're actually some of the thinnest filters I've seen. And they also have these colors on them as well. So then you know what they are in the case without actually having to take them out. Like, for example, this is a circular polarizer, this silver one, and this gold one right here is a ND64. And then this one right here is a 1/8 black mist filter. It's small details like that that are very much appreciated. These filters also use a magnetic system. So what you do is you take the ring and you screw it on your lens like this, and then the filters themselves just magnetize to the front, just like that. Now I have been kind of skeptical of magnetic filters, and the H&Y filter that I did a review on in the past, the magnet didn't feel extremely strong. These, however, the magnet is much stronger, and I just have a lot more confidence in the filter staying on. There is an advantage as well when it comes to using magnetic filters over like screw-on filters, and that's just speed. It's easy to, one, put them on and take them off. You can also easily stack them as well. But the disadvantage is that, yes, they can come off, and I believe the magnet as well will become weaker over time. That's just something I've heard, and I don't know how long it will take, but it's just something to keep in mind. Now, when it comes to these rings that are on the actual lens right here, I do love how thin they are. However, these are likely to become a nightmare to screw off your lens if you screw them on too tight. I've been extremely careful with how tight that I put them on the lens because I'm just afraid that I won't be able to screw it off later. And I do have tools like this thing right here. This will make it easier to screw it off in case it did get stuck, but since it's so thin, it might be kind of hard to get it off anyways. But this is where these filters have an accessory that I've never seen before and actually solve this problem. You see this thing right here. This is a inlaid ring. So instead of screwing it on top of the lens, it actually goes inside the lens like this. How cool is that? Now you're probably wondering, how do you get it out? Well, these little notches on the inside right here, they provide a tool that can tighten and loosen the inlay. This is one of the coolest things I've seen when it comes to NDs, because even if you do a step-up ring like this one right here, you can put it on the inside of the step-up ring, which helps a lot when you want to adapt these to different size like lenses. And it also helps with vignetting because you can get it, closer to the actual inside of the optic. So yeah, this is two NDs or two filters stacked, and it's like barely even protruding out of the lens. And yeah, it just helps with like space in your bag. Even when I've got one filter on there, like it's just barely sticking out on the lens. Sometimes when I leave different filters on my lens and put it in my bag, they just don't really fit anymore. And you can even buy magnetic covers, which I actually bought this myself. So then you've got a way better way to have storage for your caps instead of just using the plastic ones that come with your camera. So for me, if I was going to rebuy this myself, I actually bought an extra couple of these inlaid rings. I wouldn't even buy the actual rings themselves. The inlay ring is just one of the coolest part and most innovative thing, in my opinion, when it comes to these filters. Plus, I just wouldn't want one of these rings to get stuck on your lens and you have to file it off. If Kase added these little notches to the ring on the inside, just like the inlay is, it's kind of hard to tell, but if they added these little notches right here onto the inside of these rings as well, definitely something that they should do, because I would solve rings in general just getting stuck on your lens, because it's happened to me before. Now let me move on to comparing these Kase filters to these two other filters I've been using and have been kind of my go-to filters. Now honestly, when it comes to filters and the quality of the filter, I think it's the least important part. Sure, you do want a filter that's not going to color shift or cause any issues with your final image, which if you're spending over $100 on a filter, I think you're not going to have issues. And that's true with the Kase filters compared to the other filters. The Kase filter has both a disadvantage and advantage though when it comes to them. These two filters are variable ND filters, so you don't have to add any filters or take away filters to control your light. You just spin them. Now, it would be nice if Kase had a variable option, but they currently don't. You just have different strength of NDs that you have to buy and change and adjust your camera settings accordingly. But the advantage to having just a regular power ND that's not variable is that with variable NDs, you tend to have problems you need to be aware of when it comes to polarization or color shifts, which I've made a video on before that I'll put a link to, and everybody should watch before you conclude what I say in this video. So yeah, with a non-variable ND version, you're just going to have more control over these issues and problems. Now, personally, I do prefer having a variable ND though over a static one like this, just because of the line of work I do. I'm very run and gun most of the time. I don't have a lot of time to change between the filters, but that may not matter to you. You may prefer having more control over the issues that come from using a variable ND. There's also more ND strength options on Kase's website. The one I have right here is a ND64, which is like a 6-stop one, and it tended to be a little too dark for me unless I was having my iris wide open. So I will probably have to get the ND8 option, which is a 3-stop version. The filters by themselves for the 82mm version, which is what I have right now, cost about $110. So like this one right here. But then when you add the inlay in here and one of these covers as well, you're going to be about the $150 price. So you could buy the entry kit of the Kase filters, which includes 3 different strengths of NDs, and that kit cost $439. Because of how thin they are, they're actually much more convenient for storage. And even though you don't have the convenience to adjust the ND without removing or adding filters, I think they're still a very compelling option to consider, especially because of the inlaid ring. Honestly, if I didn't have the inlaid ring option, they wouldn't really be that innovative to me besides how thin they are. I think for the quality of the filter, based on the price you pay, is justified. And if you want a magnetic filter option, these are one of the best on the market right now. I'm just holding my breath for when they have a variable ND option, just because that's what I've grown accustomed to, and so I kind of prefer them. But if you're okay with them not being variable, I definitely recommend them. 1, because of how thin they are, and 2, because of the inlay ring. I'll have links to the filters in the description if you want to check them out. They are affiliate links, so if you use those, they do support me. So thank you. You can always support me though just by hitting the subscribe button and the bell button to be notified future uploads. Until the next video though, happy filming.